I cannot dwell on the fact that I failed all my goals, or I will just spiral into a sneaky hate spiral of doom, and that will be terrible for everyone. Hi, I'm Kayla Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I want to look back on 2021's goals and see how I did for that, and then set some goals going forward into 2022. Looking back at 2021, I want to focus first on the last quarter of the year. I really didn't have that many goals for the last quarter. The first goal was to finish my NaNoWriMo novel in November, which I did, and that was so awesome. I feel really good about how creative I was and how much I got done, and like a new pattern I've learned for letting myself jump around in outlines. I feel really good about my National Novel Writing Month success. And the story itself may not be done, but I started a new project, I finished the 50,000 words, and it feels really good. However, my second goal was to write at least every other day in both October and December, and that did not happen at all. In October, I wrote only 12 days, and I would have needed to write 16 in order to hit my every other day goal. And then in December, I've written almost nothing. Some of that was just burnout from National Novel Writing Month. 50,000 words is more than I can comfortably produce with my day job, with my domestic labor, and also being back at class. So I was just feeling creatively burned out. But then I also had the last 2 weeks of my semester, and I was dealing with this terrible group project. So I just didn't have like the emotional energy or focus to like really push myself to stay in that habit. So December has really gotten away from me. And while technically I am like 1 for 2 in terms of hitting my goals, because I did get my National Novel Writing Month goal, it doesn't really feel like that. It feels more like I was a third productive, because my overarching theme for the last quarter was just to get back into those habits, to get back into that consistency, and I really only succeeded at that in November. So overall, quarter 4 was not great, but unfortunately, overall, 2021 was not great. I only had 3 goals for 2021, and I failed all of them. The first goal was to submit something for Pitch Wars, and I failed it because I failed my other 2 goals. I have a whole video about it, but I didn't get things done in time for Pitch Wars, and I don't feel good about that, so we're gonna move quickly along. My other goals were to finish Hannah and Lee's book, which at the time was a contemporary novella, which I intended to be only about 30,000 words and exist as part of a wedding-based anthology. It is now probably going to end up being like 65,000 words, a sort of standalone spin-off of a completely unrelated series, and Lee is a vampire. So is it even the same story? Who's to say? But I have made forward progress on it. I am mostly done the first draft. I only have 6 or 7 scenes left to do, and that includes scenes that I have drafted but know I need to make a big change to. So like their first hookup, I don't like at all. I know I'm gonna go back and completely gut it, completely rewrite it. So I have probably 10,000 words left to write on that, in both new scenes to write, but also scenes that I need to completely rework. Since the goal, however, was to finish that, and I am not even remotely close to being finished it, I'm not even finished my first draft, much less through a revision, that goal was totally failed. As was my final goal, which was to finish what I then was calling Kara and Alex's book. It is now Kira and Asher's book, because apparently I cannot keep anything consistent over the course of a year. I have to change something about it. I finished the first draft, and I finished my revision rounds. I also sent it to a beta. I have definitely made forward progress on that, and I have made substantive changes. It is a much different, much better book now than it was when I started. However, I know that I still have some pretty substantive structural changes to make, and while I know what those changes are and I know how I want to tackle them, they're not done, they're not ready. And as much as I want to tell myself, like, you finished a draft, you finished a revision, you've done so much work on it, like you finished stages of it, so you might as well just call it having completed that goal. I know that that's not in the spirit of what the goal was, so it doesn't feel like right to try to eke myself out a win that way, because I really wanted this book to be done. I wanted this book to be queryable. Whether or not I was going to query it, I wanted it to be in a stage where I would be like proud to give it to someone, and I'm not yet. So I failed all of my goals for 2021, and that is a sucky place to be. I obviously don't want to be going into 2022 feeling like I have succeeded at absolutely nothing. But I'm trying to be gentle with myself. I am trying to take stock of the things that I did succeed at, the ways in which I did grow and learn this year. I learned a lot about my writing process. I learned a lot about my need for consistency and the ways in which I can better structure my time to help me be more productive. And I did write a lot. I've probably written between 80 and 100,000 words, which is a ton for me. There's been plenty of years where I've maybe written 10,000 words, maybe. So that's a big writing year for me. I also tackled revisions in like a really serious way for the first time, which is a huge learning curve, but something that's really important for me to get right. So I'm making a lot of forward progress, and as much as it sucks to say I did not succeed at my goals, I have succeeded at implementing new patterns and new habits, which will hopefully help me hit goals in the future and have helped me learn more about my writing process. So we're silver lining this bitch. There's that saying like, don't let perfection get in the way of greatness, and I'm trying to focus on that. I'm trying to focus on like looking at all the positives of the things that I did accomplish in the year rather than dwelling on not having completed my goals, because like maybe my goals aren't that realistic. For 2022, I only have 2 goals. The one is to get one of my 3 current projects to a queryable state. My 3 current projects are Kira and Asher's book, which is a shapeshifter romance, Hannah and Lee's book, which is a vampire romance, and an as yet untitled, undiscussed YA horror secret project, which I promise I will make a video about soon. I don't care which of these 3 projects gets to a queryable state, I just want one of them to be in a state that I would show to a professional by December of next year, or December of 2022. My only other goal is to get my other 2 projects well into the revision process. So I want to be done the first draft of both and have seriously hit at least 1 revision on both of them. I know these are probably like very small goals compared to a lot of people, but I'm just focusing on finishing shit. I'm just focusing on consistency and getting things finished, which is something that I struggle with. So small, achievable goals, which I thought I was doing last year and clearly wasn't, since I didn't achieve any of them. For Q1 of 2022, I only have 1 goal. I only want to succeed at 1 thing, and that is to get more consistent. I know that was my goal for last quarter, but like, that's it. I just want to focus on getting consistent. I want to get back to the most basic version of writing goals. I had this professor years and years ago when I was like 19 named Ryan Knighton, and he talked about how people get caught up in like the noun of being a writer and they forget that to write is a verb. Like you have to do the verb before you can be the noun, and that most of writing is just like sitting alone with your keyboard. And I want to get back to that part. I want to get back to the very most basic level, the putting words onto a document. So my goal for first quarter of 2022 is just to write at least every other day for at least an hour. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I can be writing fanfic, I can be working on one of my projects, I can be plotting, I can be outlining, I can be drafting, editing. It does not matter what format I do it in or how it looks. I just want to be focusing on the writing part for at least an hour, at least every other day. And if that's successful, we can build from there and get like fancy with goals going forward. But like, my success rate has not been great, so I just want to start with like the basics. I just want to like focus up on something clear and concise and simple, writing every other day. Normally I hate the call to action at the end of a video, but I would genuinely like to know what your goals are going into 2022. If your 2021 was successful, or if you were like me and kind of whiffed it at every opportunity, please let me know down below. I would love to chat about what writing looks like for us going into the next year. If you're looking for me anywhere else, I am pretty much everywhere as Kayla Amanda. That is KAYLUGHMANDA. You can come nag me about whether or not I've written today there. Otherwise, I will see you next time.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground! You underestimate my power!